Ben Woolliss, two-time kickboxing world champ, now in the MMA scene.
From a small little town in Grimsby, dedicated a lot of my life to martial arts, and then everything kind of branched away from there.
How do you think you've been able to keep and hold on to your passion?
It's just become a part of who I am and what I do every single day, and would feel lost without it.
A challenging thing you went through was suffering with Crohn's disease.
Where I was going through the things that I was going through in 2020, health was secondary. The hospital wanted to do the surgery, and I knew if I got the surgery, it'd take me away from what it is that I'm able to do. So I'd always fight against it. I was basically in bed 23 hours a day, in and out of consciousness, and then went on this journey trying to build everything back. My very first coach at home, he'd drive, he'd pick me up, take me to the gym, and no joke, we'd do like 20-second pats, and then he'd take me home. And he'd be like, cool, we'll be back in tomorrow. 30 seconds, that changed my whole life.
Did the thought of quitting or stopping ever cross your mind?
Nah, the thought of like being scared of going to sleep, because I didn't know if I'd wake up, is all I know. What do I do then? So then I got into enjoying business, started at online academies.
Is there anything that you're trying to teach that you wish someone had taught you?
Everything. That's what my whole business models are based on, is the academy is essentially when I was stuck, what would I need?
Now looking back on your career though,
Yeah.
do you regret anything?
If I could have one moment of your time. Most of you guys listening or watching do not subscribe to the channel. The simple and easiest way to help and support us is to subscribe. It helps us get the guests that you guys want, and it gives us a more opportunity to grow this thing to where we want to take it. Thank you so much. Enjoy the episode. Kia ora.
Ben Woolliss, welcome to the Martin Show,
thanks
brother.
for having me, bro.
No,
Appreciate
damn. What do we need to know about you, brother? And I guess your past, early life to understand more of who you are today.
From a small little town in Grimsby, in England, and then dedicated a lot of my life to martial arts, used that as like an avenue to travel the world and push myself into things that I want to do, you know, and kind of created the life that I live now. And then things happened outside of that, but that was like the one thing, you know, is like small little town, martial arts, dedicated my life to that, and then everything kind of branched away from there, you know.
Grimsby?
Grimsby.
Grimsby.
Yeah.
Wow, Grimsby.
Yeah.
How would you describe early life in Grimsby?
See, Grimsby's great. It's got loads of like character, you know, like loads of character people. It'll get a bad rap. I think it's been like voted sometimes one of the worst places to live in the UK. It's like one of those, but it's like, there's amazing people there, you know. But it's kind of typical, a lot of council estates and kind of like low income places, a lot of people on the dole, bit of crime and stuff. It's not like too violent crime. It's not like knife crime and like that kind of thing, but there's a lot going on. It's pretty hectic.
Yeah.
But it builds character, you know. Loved growing up there, even though like it's a little bit of a mad spot, you know?
Yeah. And what were you like as a kid or in those earlier stages? What were you like?
Kind of like, I was lucky that I think sport found me. So I always found the avenue through sport. And always had like a pull to something away from what everybody else was doing. I don't know why, but all the time I've always just like strived to do different things and like kind of stand out. Even in a room of like Outliers, I've always tried to like stand out in that room. I don't know if that's like a thing of me trying to push myself or fix something else with myself, but that's the kind of thing I've always done. So when it comes to sport, I've always like pushed myself in that, but having like a goal and something to dedicate to myself has always been my drive as opposed to anything external that I shouldn't be doing, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not even like it was never difficult for that. I just kind of fell in love with those things. So like, I did athletics when I was really young, and was planning to go to like the Olympics. That was my goal with that, you know, and then got invited down to the kickboxing gym. And I remember the week that I went there, I just like retired from athletics. My coaches and that were fuming. Like, they were like, what are you doing? I'm like, nah, I realized this is what I want to do.
Wow.
And it was like day dot from then I was like, that's what I want to do forever, you know?
In that first week?
First week. At the time, like gym fees and stuff, I wasn't really in a position, especially as like a 13-year-old kid, to have the money to pay for it. And, you know, family life is family life. I was lucky the coaches kind of just let me come in. I could help tidy. I could help like teach the kids class, and I was able to just spend every day there. I'd finish school, I'd like go home, I'd run to the gym, I'd be at the gym, I'd be there all night. Next morning, same thing, you know, and I just live through that, you know.
Started at 13,
Yeah.
now 31.
Yeah.
Sorry to disclose your age. You just told me
I know,
that.
Jesus.
My
Yeah.
bro. How do you think you've been able to keep and hold on to your passion for however long that is, you know, 15 plus years?
Yeah, I wish it was 15. I'd still be 28.
Oh, yeah.
I always get asked that, and kind of like what it is that keeps me going. And it's just kind of like a part of my identity now. So it's not even like, it's just not even part of the same way you wake up and brush your teeth is the same way that I wake up and train, and I'd feel lost if I didn't do it, you know? So it's not even a motivation thing. It's just part of me and who I am. And if I don't do it, then I feel like weird, you know? So that kind of thing it's just become a part of who I am and what I do every single day, and would feel lost without it. And I don't know if that's the pushing yourself element or the discipline element or and the enjoyment, you know. But it's never even been overly difficult, you know. Like when you say, oh, you go through fight camps and you got to train 2-3 times a day and you're doing these 8 weeks, and I'm like, yeah, cool, man. It's like just what you love, you know. Like
Yeah.
it's an amazing thing to be able to push yourself and chase your own goals, you know. And I feel like for me it'd be more difficult to not do that and be put into, I guess you could call it a standard like 9 to 5, and do that for me would be so difficult. Whereas me just running around, you know, and then like hitting pads and sparring and then dieting and weight cutting and stuff, I'm like, that's my love. And I can't think of anything for me more fulfilling than just like chasing the dream that you've set out and fulfilling that childhood dream, you know. And
Yeah, bro.
yeah, so it's not even like a question. I don't know.
Well, because a lot of people struggle to find that thing,
Yeah.
you know, to that where time goes by or where you're in
Yeah.
flow and all those
Yeah.
sorts of things.
Yeah.
Like all you got to do is try things, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order to find the thing. But I feel like so many people, particularly young lads,
Yeah.
really, really struggle with honing in on an outlet or something where
Yeah.
there's a future in.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone that is in that position?
I think I was lucky that I found that so early and was so captivated by it that I was like, that was my life forever. I didn't try that many things myself. Like I said, I did athletics, found fighting, and then that was me for the next 15 years. But for the rest of my life, you know. But I've tried. So I really enjoy skateboarding, surfing, enduro bikes, skiing, and I'm terrible at them all. Do you know what I mean? But like, I remember at a point where I was thinking, I was skating for like 2 years. I was still terrible. And I was like, oh, I really want to like get better at this. And then obviously I needed to go find an instructor, and I was like daunted by the fact of going somewhere and being like a complete beginner. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, this is the feeling. Whereas everything else has captivated me, and maybe I've picked it up very well, super early. And it's like something comes through and I'm just like, boom, 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 I'm on it. Whereas skating, I'm just terrible. And then that was daunting to me. So I completely understand that. But as soon as you kind of push through those things, then obviously it's all going to get easier. But to not do it, like you're wasting so much potential passion and enjoyment, you know? So, okay, you're going into a new area where you may feel uncomfortable. You may feel like people are looking at you, which they're definitely not. But all of us feel like that, you know? You feel like you're walking into a room and everyone's just laughing at you standing on the skateboard going, but it ain't the reality. But the thing that you're missing out on is so much greater than that moment of vulnerability or, you know, not feeling confident in yourself. So if there's something out there that you want to try, just jump over that hurdle, because that may be something that you'll pursue for the rest of your life. And all them moments, all them times where you say you're switching off and you're in that flow and you're just enjoying it, the people that you will meet, like that's always worth so much more. Like me finding martial arts, man, I've found like friends for the rest of my life all over the world, you know, places that I can just walk into and I'll feel like home, you know, and that's all through stepping through and going and following that sport and just going out with that, you know.
Yeah, bro. Fear is one of the biggest things that sort of
Yeah.
holds us back from doing anything,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but it's not even like, I feel like it's intrinsic fear. It's like fear of the perception of it. like you say, like you think you're going into a new environment. Say you go into the gym, and it's your first class, and you feel stupid. You don't know how to hold your hands right, and you're standing here, and you're thinking everyone's kind of laughing and making fun of you. But like the person that's been in the gym for 10 years will probably not even notice that you came in. And it's like, so it's all perception. And it's like, remove your own perception and kind of come away from that, and everything becomes a lot freer, you know, and that's a lot easier said than done. But we kind of live in these little, you know, bubbles of ourselves, and it's kind of like learning how to break away from that and realizing that people don't really care too much. And it's not like a thing of being, because, you know, people will say, oh, I just don't care what people think. I just don't feel like that's true.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like what people think can be a good radar of who you are and what you're doing, you know. So I don't think it's like an attitude of being like, oh, I just don't care what people think, you know. I think it's just removing the fact that people are looking, knowing that they're inside of their own bodies and their own heads and worrying about what they're doing, and you're just moving around, you know.
So changing the approach to what other people think about us, right? I like that.
100%.
I've never heard that, because I've heard that many times.
Yeah.
Don't give a shit what others think, but that's very, very hard to do. You know?
Yeah, but I also feel like that kind of comes from a place of disregard of other people's feelings and, you know, actions and stuff, you know. I feel like it becomes a thing of like not addressing how you actually are in a room or how you are doing anything, you know. And it's like the opposite. Instead of like, okay, not addressing what everybody else is thinking of, it's more like a bull in a china shop being like, I'm doing what I want to do. And it's like, yeah, man, there's 20 other people in here. Just, you know, so I always feel like that kind of, I don't care what anyone thinks. And it's like, yeah, you can like not, but also be a bit more self-aware of the things that you're doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, it's always like a thing that I always get stuck on when people are like, this is me and that's it. And it's like, okay, cool. You can be authentic, but you can also do it without being a bit of a knob, you know, like just
consider it.
Well. Yeah, all them kind of things, you know.
Bro. Welcome to the Martin Show first ad break. For anyone who is wanting to go on a new journey, learn a new skill, we have started our basic beginners boxing fundamentals course. For anyone, if it's your first time, if you're a seasoned member, this is the course for you in the boxing space or fitness space. Click the link below or go to onlineboxingtraining.com and I'll see you guys there. Let's get to mahi, eh? You have done this thing for 15 plus years.
Yeah.
2-time kickboxing world champ, now in the MMA scene, record of 4-0. But I think people, like, there's a difference between a world champ and, like, say, a national champ. And I'm not putting down the national champs or anything like that, but there's a big difference, right? And what does it take in order to become a world champ that most people don't talk about?
Obsession. You know, like, now there's such a emphasis on balance. And this is like, I feel like you can only have the conversation of balance when you've gone to the other side, you know? So many people speak about like work-life balance who are like big entrepreneurs, and you'll see like these people that have exited these 10 million companies and they're like, oh, I wish I just had more balance. And I'm like, you would not be where you was if you came into it with balance. If you start trying to be a world champion and you start it with balance, and it's such like it's a bit contradictory, because I know now you have to make time in life to enjoy it, because otherwise 15 years passes real quick and you're like, oh shit, I ain't really spent any time to enjoy the things that I wanted to, you know? So absolute obsession is kind of like the necessity of that, you know? It has to genuinely be your, nothing else matters. And you will sacrifice friendships, relationships, your friends will be going away on holidays, parties, and you'll just be like, it's not even a question. You're just like, nah, I might be competing in 6 weeks. I might get a call. I might get, like, you might not even be scheduled. And you're just like, so things that a call might come. You're just like, I am not doing anything unless this call comes. I need to be ready. And it's like, you're so dialed in and obsessed with that, that I feel like that's what creates the outliers. You know, you can be very good at stuff. And the difference is the obsession. And it's not just like, oh, you really enjoy something. It's like people will know that people will come to you and have conversations and be like, listen, you need to just relax a bit. And then you'll know that like, this is kind of happening. When a trainer comes to you and tells you to relax, that's kind of when you're bordering onto that. Yeah. You know, I feel like that's a coach's job with a world champion most of the time is to pull them back. as opposed to trying to push them. If they're trying to push you, it's not that same internal like obsession, you know. I was lucky enough at home. I worked with a guy called Joby Clayton, who was a boxing trainer. He coached like Ben Whitaker and Anthony Joshua and stuff, and amazing guy, amazing trainer. But he kind of said something similar where he was like, coaches to people at that level, he's like, my job is to pull the reins.
Wow.
He's like, because they will just go and go and go and go. And he's like, you get this obsession and this you would call it crazy ass training. And it's like, you just keep going until like somebody else pulls you back or your body stops. And the amount of times that we've been there, you know, like hospitalized from overtraining and everything like that, you know, and it's just simple, like one focus obsession that I think makes a difference, you know.
And do you think that correlates to other things in life? I know we're talking about a sporting context, but
Yeah.
say business and
Yeah.
all the finance, whatever avenues, you've got to be just completely obsessed on that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. You look at all the great innovators, scientists, businessmen, they're all completely obsessed, you know. You look at like a Einstein, obsessed in his area, you know. There's so many people that are just dialed in, and I think that's just the key to being an outlier. Because if you think of it as like a scale of percentage of everything that's going into it, and everybody's operating here, what's the outlier is the person that just keeps going and is just completely obsessed. So it's not even like, I think there's a podcast of Naval on Chris Williamson, and he talks about like, you do the things to other people seems like work, but to you is fun. And I feel like that is obsession. So even though it's obsession, you're still doing it because like you don't want to do anything else.
Wow.
So it's like you outperform everybody with ease because it's just all you think about, all you do, all you want to do. And I think that's every field.
Now looking back on your career though,
Yeah.
do you regret anything?
Nah. I don't think you can regret anything. You obviously you can in circumstances, but all of the actions that you take bring you to the place that you are. So even like bad decisions still bring you to maybe generate different self-awareness into something and help you grow in a different area. So even bad decisions have helped propel you into the person that you stand as today. And most people as they stand today wouldn't want to change who they are. So I could look back and regret maybe overtraining, maybe that caused problems with my health. Maybe there was injuries that are irreversible. But at that time, like that was me, and I have to respect that 20-year-old's decision, you know, like he was willing to trade off whatever it's willing to trade off. And you know that in the future, I have to deal with it, you know, like, and that's kind of it. So there's no regrets with that. I get like a little bit now, like I say, you talk about the balance that people speak about, and there is time to like enjoy life and, you know, come out with friends and do all these things that you actually enjoy. Yeah. All these things, you know, and like spend time with people that you want to spend time with. And it is a little bit different, but I still feel like the work needs to be done first, you know. And it's like it's a difficult thing because I coach like juniors at home for maybe like 9-10 years. And a lot of them want to grow into being professional athletes and professional fighters. And man, some of them are guns, you know, like, and they absolutely will be. They're some of the best in the country. But like, they'll come to me and their parents will come to me and they're like, is it worth it? And I'm like, I don't feel like I can say, you know, because like, I've been dead broke, health in the gutter, living on gym mats. To me, it didn't mean anything. It was fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just wasn't bothered. I was on my path. But like, me telling somebody else to go through that, I don't know how you respond in that. I can't like, a parent comes to me and be like, oh, my child wants to be like the best in the world. And I'm like, oh, well, there's a couple of sacrifices that they're going to do. And then they come to me in 5 years and they're like, my son's living in the gym, like on a crash mat. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of just like part and parcel of it, maybe, you know, like, but yeah, I won't change anything to where I am now. It's just figuring out all those lessons on the way and trying to understand how you move forward better, you know? And if there's lessons you can learn that were avoidable, even though I won't change them for myself now, I can help others, you know, so I can help the juniors, I can help people that I coach to kind of streamline it so they don't need to make the same decisions, they don't need to fall in the same ditches. And I feel like that's my due diligence, is to go back and like help people stop falling in them pit holes, you know? And even that, you know, is then like the thing that's given me life in like martial arts and helped me create the life that I'm living today, giving back to that. All the mistakes that I did made, I don't regret them, because as I'm saying now, I can go back and help people not make them decisions and live like easier, you know?
Yeah, bro. Well, you mentioned your health.
Yeah.
And I believe it was 2020, correct me if I'm wrong, but something that a challenging thing you went through was
Yeah.
suffering with Crohn's disease.
Yeah.
For everyone who is unaware,
Mhm.
what is Crohn's disease?
So you get Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. And they're kind of one of the same thing, but they attack different parts of your digestive tract. And basically it's basically your immune system trying to attack itself. So it feels like there's something there to fight, but there isn't. So it just like attacks itself. So it will create like ulcers all the way through your digestive tract. And it'll cause you to, you know, lose blood 10, 15, 20 times a day. So you have severe fatigue, like you lose so much body weight because you can't hold food in. And obviously it's just like crippling. It was 2020 when I got diagnosed with it, but I actually had it since I moved to university in like 2015, sorry. And I had 5 years, and this is where I talk about like the single path, the blinders on, where I was going through the things that I was going through in 2020, but I was just like, I just don't care, eh?
Yeah, wow.
Like I would have traded everything to be able to get to where I wanted to be, you know, and health was secondary. And again, I look at it now, it probably could have been a lot better handled. But yeah, from like 2015, I was having huge fights. I remember I was fighting a guy who was like UK #1, really great fighter. It was just being streamed on Sky Sports, and I'd had this incredible like just losing blood all the time, you know, couldn't hold weight, couldn't train. My stomach, like your stomach basically like inflames. There's so much inflammation going on because it's all just like cutting itself open, you know. The whole thing is just ripping apart. And I remember I couldn't like press my hands onto my stomach. But then like you go out and do what it is that you're doing, you know, and I'm fighting like in an arena live on Sky Sports, and I'm like, all I'm thinking is, please don't touch my stomach.
Oh
and
my
like the
God.
whole fight. And it's like, I don't know, there's two things to it. One, I'm like proud that I could go through those things and still compete. But two, like, it's also annoying that you know that you could perform so much better if you wasn't going through those things, you know. But that's in the past. But yeah, then 2020, I came out to Bali. Got a parasite on a trip.
Was that from Mike?
That was old Mike, yeah.
Bro, he briefly told me about this.
Yeah, so we was in Bandung and we was cornering a load of fighters. And there were some places where a Westerner would probably eat McDonald's, Pizza Hut, and stuff like that, you know. There's safer options. And I also love food, yeah, and I love experiencing people's cultures. But sometimes I'm like, I don't think this is right for me, you know. So we was going and eating some street food in this place that was like someone's front room. And again, that's like part of the culture, and I'd love to experience it. But there was some of the food and I was like, bro, I don't think I should be eating this. Like, I am not equipped like to be able to do this. And he was like, nah, come on, you got to try it. And I was like, maybe he's right. That night, it was game over. Right? Flew home and I was in the villa for days. And I think I basically wasn't able to move for a few days. And I'm sure they came to the villa or they messaged. It was like, where are you? And I just went MIA and was just dying on the bed.
Wow.
They came into the room, they looked at me laid on the bed, and obviously I'd like lost loads of blood and loads of weight and stuff within these few days. And he was like, we're taking you to the hospital. So then I came over to the hospital. And again, this is 2020 during COVID. So it was crazy in the hospital. There was it was a hectic scene. The hospital was dead, like quiet as anything. There was no one there apart from like really serious COVID cases. So people were running around screaming. There was people like bro, it was crazy.
Wow.
I got wheeled out on a stretcher next to the cash machine. It was outside of the building next to this ATM. This was wild. I got a picture of it. I'll have to send you it so you can put it in. But it's like the wildest thing. I'm like outside of the hospital on the side of the road next to an ATM with a drip on, and I'm like, man, this ain't good. But anyway, I was there for a while. I had a conversation with all the boys, and it was like, we need to get you home, like, because they wanted to operate on me here. They wanted to remove the ostomy bags Give bags where they remove your bowel and they do that. And I was like, nah. I was like, we can't even hold a conversation. I don't know what you're doing. So I flew home, I was like in and out of consciousness at this point. Managed to get home somehow, got back, and then I was like bedbound bedbound's like, people get annoyed because people who are extremely bedbound are obviously like coma state and can't move. I was basically in bed 23 hours a day and like kind of a little bit sat up outside of that. And then lost like 14 kilos and then went on this journey of trying to build everything back. And that was like a crazy little time where like I would get winds of being able to walk outside and there was like a tree that I could walk around, you know, and I'd like, cool. And then the next day I was like, there's a bush a little bit further and I'm like, cool, that's my goal. That's my goal. And then my very first coach at home, he knew what was going on. He'd come and he'd drive, he'd pick me up, take me to the gym. And no joke, we'd do like 20 seconds of pads. And then he'd take me home. And he'd be like, cool, we'll be back in tomorrow. 30 seconds, minute. Bro, and that was my life where I was like, my spark is like, there's a dim flame at this point. I'm like absolutely whitewashed, anemic as anything, got no blood in my body, can't hold any weight, can't eat anything. Sometimes like I'd be laid down, my family would come and speaking to me, and the only way I can describe is like a little bit of a dazed, coma, like they would speak, but I couldn't reply. But I'd like get up and I'd be able to go to the gym, bro, and it was like minute on minute was like a win, and the fire would grow, and you know, and I'd bring it back from that, you know. And then, but again, we talk about blessings, disguise, the challenges that changed my whole life, you know, like switching it into focusing on health and realizing the things that I actually love. Like I remember I just wanted to be able to stand up, listen to music and cook. And bro, like the day that I was able to stand up and make breakfast and just put some music on, I was like, this is my life. I was like so grateful to be able to do things that you just, you know, just completely pass by every day. So there was the gratitude that came from all of that. The things that I realized that meant something to me, you know. It was my like birthday shortly after, and my family were like, oh, what do you want? And I'm like, I'm just happy to be here, eh? Just sit at a table, have breakfast, and like, I'm good, you know.
Did the thought of quitting or stopping ever cross your mind?
Nah. The thought of like being scared of going to sleep because I didn't know if I'd wake up was there. That was like, it got it pretty intense. Eh?
Wow,
like, and I was like, this is not advice, this is the opposite of advice. A lot of the times the hospital wanted to do the surgery, and I knew if I got the surgery, it'd take me away from what it is that I'm able to do, which is compete. So I'd always fight against it, and that was extremely dangerous. But that was my thing. So then I went home. Like I was like, I don't want to be in hospital. They just keep trying to cut me open, you know. I just want to be away. So I'd be at home. But quitting that, it was like, I just knew it would, at some point it would pass. And then like when you go into a journey of like thinking about higher powers and stuff, and there was like little things that would come in, like it was crazy. Maybe just complete exhaustion and everything like that. But yeah, there was stuff telling me to just keep on the path.
Yeah, wow.
Day by day, day by day, day by day.
Like a spiritual awakening.
Yeah, so much. And like I say, realizing the things that I wanted and things kind of telling me that you just stay on path. This is, you know, and it made me stronger to what it is that I am now, because nothing like beats that. Do you know what I mean? There's like fighters, a lot of fighters will have like spots they can go to, right? Dark spots when training gets hard, when fighting gets hard, and you can go back to that spot because this is not as hard as that. And that's why I think a lot of fighters come from difficult backgrounds, is because it's easier than where they're from.
Wow.
You know? And I think a lot of people have that, but that's one of my things where it's like, I ain't there. Do you know what I mean? I'm exhausted. I might be like getting my nose smashed in, or now I might be on the floor. You're like trying to get up. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'll keep getting up because I ain't gonna die. Do you know what I mean? Exhaustion, yeah.
Did it change the way you viewed yourself and I guess your identity outside the cage, outside the combat world?
Yeah, it was like a humbling experience knowing that it can end, you know, not just fighting, but everything can kind of come to an end. And it's like a little realization where you're like, oh shit, you know, and it's like, that's when you go into realizing what you really want in life, you know, the things that actually mean something to you. You don't care about, I don't know, you know, just nonsense things that are to impress people or this to that. It's like, what are you doing to make you happy? What are you doing to make other people feel like all of these things, you know? So it helps in that regard. But then it also helps in the thing of being like, it also can still come and get you and you might have to retire. Do you know what I mean? Like I'd fight it to my last breath, but it still might happen. So then there was a big switch of, what do I do if it stops? Because I dedicated my whole life to this. This is all I know. What do I do then? So then I got into enjoying business, figuring things out, started at online academies, built those, and then like found a real interest and enjoyment in everything to do with business, you know, and then building brands and all that kind of stuff. And then found another outlet where even now I'm still chasing what it is that I want to chase. And there's a load of frustrations with, you know, what's going on competing wise. But now I know that there's a different avenue, you know, and I love that. And now that's like, again, that's put me in a position now where I want to fight. I don't need to fight, you know, and a lot of people are still in the thing of needing to fight. So now, again, it's my due diligence to go back and help the fighters and help the athletes get the power of wanting to, not needing to, you know.
Well, that leads me, because you obviously intelligent in the ring, in the cage, equally intelligent outside of it as well, doing your own things. Yeah, bro. 365 Combat Academy, even starting to mentor fighters, athletes. One of the bros at Soma, I know you're helping him out.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you're trying to teach that you wish someone had taught you? Everything.
That's what my whole like business models are based on, is what would I need it. The academy is essentially when I was stuck, what would I needed? Do you know what I mean? I need like the difference. If I'd have had somebody, a world champion, that would have gone, you need to do this, step left, step right, step, and you're like, oh, cool. And they don't even realize that you've made 20,000 wrong mistakes to know that's the right way to step. So like that whole model is helping people being stuck in positions that I was once in, you know? So don't trip over that wire, because I know that you're just going to keep tripping over it, you know? And then the business is the exact same thing, where it's, I wish I'd have done this at 20, but obviously I didn't, you know? So the only thing is to do it now, you know? And it's the same with the people that are fighting and the athletes, and coming to them and understanding all the things that I had to like figure out to be able to come away from needing to fight. It's now just teaching that, you know? So both of those kind of business models are, what would I have needed at 16 when I was stuck, at 20 when I was stuck, and then what would I have needed outside of fighting?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the whole thing that I'm trying to do, you know?
Brother, I love that.
Yeah.
Because I think there'll be a few people, a few fighters, a few coaches that'll look at it and think of it as a negative.
Yeah.
He's not all in. He's not all into the fight game. He's distracted.
Yeah.
How do you sort of balance, I guess, going back to that, I call it like the psycho competitor, that obsession that you're talking about. How do you balance that person, that Ben, with, I guess, this leader going into this business journey as well? How do you balance both worlds?
You know, performers are two different people. 50 Cent is 50 Cent and Curtis Jackson is Curtis Jackson. And they will speak about having an alter ego that they can step into. But you can do that with every walk of life. So I have that with fighting and fight week. I can have the persona that I'm going to walk into. And I don't feel like there's a man alive that can beat me on that week. But I can't be that every day. It'd be exhausting and nobody wants to be around him. You know, fight day, I'm walking around and I'm like 10 foot tall and I'm like, let's go. I can't do that on a Tuesday in Starbucks. Do you know what I mean? Just walking around thinking I'm the guy. It's like, bro, you need to relax, man. Just order your coffee and sit down. But there's a time and a place to put on those hats, you know, those masks. And you can do that with this. There's also, I was lucky enough to speak to John Kavanagh at SBG in Ireland. And he kind of reiterated the same point, where it's like, we train 4 hours a day, like, you know, maybe 5. If you had a job that was 6 a.m. until 11 a.m. or something, you've got this whole day to be able to build things. Do you know what I mean? You can be intense, you can be driven, you can be whoever you want in this practice room for those hours. And then outside of that, you can still be that in a business sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need to be, you are not one person, you know, and you can put on different hats for different jobs and adjust to different rooms. And I think a lot of that is a kind of a setback for people where they're like, oh, I'm just somebody who does this. And I'm like, you are whoever you say you are. Like, if you say that that's all you are, then that is all you are, and that's all it'll be.
Yeah.
And that's obviously, if that's all you want to do, bless, like, live. But like, it is not your limitation. Do you know what I mean? It's a self-created boundary. It's like, you can be this and you can be this. You just have to keep doing this until people know you for doing that.
Yeah.
You know, like when I talk about skateboarding, if I just dedicated and started skateboarding every single day and posting content about it every single day and doing this, eventually people will be like, oh, you skate. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, oh yeah, I do.
And it changes the identity there.
Changes it, you know, just by doing the thing. You
Yeah,
know?
bro. Because most fighters are trained to be warriors, killers, you
Yeah.
know, not necessarily earners.
Yeah.
Why do you think most fighters or the whole combat world sort of struggle financially?
Combat sports kind of like pulls in people like that from all different kind of places, you know, but we know we say like it kind of pulls people back from harder backgrounds and stuff like that. You will see a lot of fighters. It's kind of changing now as we move forward with social media. But especially when I first started, most people don't even want to be in front of a camera. You put in front of a camera and some of them get angry. Do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, you can be incredibly dedicated to this. And again, you can be like this warrior and everything like that. But this complete package, sometimes you need to be able to step out of this, you know? And again, their identity becomes fighting. So they're the fighter. And that's what they're known for. And that's their power, you know? So the same thing as like we was on about earlier, where it's like people go and try new things, is vulnerable. They're no longer like the guy. Do you know what I mean?
Bro.
Or even like, because they could be incredible, boxers. Yeah.
Again, it goes back to you were talking about on fight day, the ego's huge.
Yeah.
Feel 10 feet tall.
100%.
Is it, I was going to ask you what the mindset shift that they need to change or make in order to sort of thrive financially. And do you think it is like letting go of the ego more?
Yeah. I think like fighters in particular is a lot of that, you know? There was a lot of people, they are dedicated to what it is they're doing and they are set for a goal. But it's like sometimes you have to step back and be like, well, what if? Do you know what I mean? And yeah, there doesn't need to be a plan B to the thing, but you still have time to be able to do the thing, you know?
Yeah, bro.
But like I say, like they're great in that room. They have power in that room because they are great at what they do, you know? Maybe they're a bit of an authority in the room, you know? Like it gives them this self-purpose, this self-worth, you know? This is like dragging them out of that and then putting them in a dance class. And then they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I feel stupid. I don't want to go. Like, and it's kind of that. It's like going into a position where you kind of feel stupid and just relearning it. So it's, again, removing the ego is like a huge topic, right? But like just kind of removing whatever external pressures you think exist there because they don't exist, and then start moving into a place where you want to. Because one day it's going to come.
Yeah.
When it's fine, when you're talking about finances, one day the penny's going to drop and you're going to go, shit. And no matter what age you are, you'd wish you started 5 years ago, you know, all the time.
Practicing patience in that though, way, like you know it's going to come.
Yeah.
And you want it to come today, but you're like, hold on, it'll come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you struggle with valuing yourself? I guess like your time, energy, your worth in regards to like dollar terms moving into the business world?
Yeah. Still, I think that goes on for everybody for a long time. I feel like most of us attach worth to something. The longest time it was fighting. If I was competing, then I was doing something. If I wasn't competing, I was basically a loser, piece of shit. Do you know what I mean? Like that's how I felt in myself.
Wow.
Like if I'm just being honest with that, that's how I used to feel. And then if you would win something, I'd have 10 minutes of cool. And then it just won't mean anything again. And then it'd be on to the next challenge. So there was never any gratitude for that moment.
Wow.
And then finances and business, I feel like becomes the same. At one point, you want to make your first sale. Then you need to make 10. Then once you make 10, you're like, well, I made 10 before. Like, I need to make 15 now, you know? And then it carries on going. And then you're like, right, if I get to this number a month, I'm set. And you'll go to a position where everything that you've said would make you content, happy, you'd already done. And it goes on again and again. And it's like a double-edged sword, right? So it's great for growth, but it's not great for you as a person.
Wow.
Because you never like you never sit with it.
Yeah.
You're never happy with where you are. So even though you could look back at things that you've wrote out, you could write your goals from 2 years ago, and you look back at it and you're like, Jesus Christ, smash that. Like, that is not even applicable to where I stand right now. But you wrote that at a position where you're like, this is what I want. And now you're in a position where it's like the next thing, the next thing, the next thing.
Yeah, bro.
And that, I think that goes on for as long as until you address it properly, you know.
What would you have done differently? And what you're trying to say is sort of appreciating the small wins, right? Appreciating those goals that you do achieve and trying to find gratitude in those.
Yeah.
What would you actually do to appreciate them more? Because as you say, back in the day, you were like, if I'm not fighting, I feel like a piece of shit. On to the next. What would you have done differently?
I guess so much comes back to gratitude and being in your moment. Even if you look at, I don't know, philosophy and everything to do with self-help or Buddhism or everything talks about coming back to the present and your breath and all that. But all of that, even breath work, is all being here now. Be with your feet. Understand where you are. And there's so much of that because everything else is future. So if you've hit a business deal and you're not appreciating it and you're thinking about the next thing, it's because you're not here. You know, you're living in the future, or you're thinking back in the past where it, you know, and it's the same with the fighting. You hit an accolade that you've always wanted and then you're on to the next. It's like your body is here, but you've already gone. It's like sometimes you need to come back to this. And it's kind of like a whole thing of appreciating those wins sometimes feels like, oh, it want anything anyway, you know, like I need to, and I struggled with that for a long time. Still the same thing, you know, you'll hit something and sometimes people are like, you need to be grateful for what it is that you do, you know, like write down the things that you're happy about. And I'm like, nah, because I ain't, there's more, you know, and there's a standard that you set for yourself sometimes, which maybe you need to like, I'm just thinking aloud now, like it's a staircase up, right? And maybe each step you need to sit and be grateful that you've got onto that next step, as opposed to knowing that that's there and you're like, I just want to get there, you know? But you will realize that no matter how high you keep climbing, it is never the thing. So it's like sometimes I think sit on the step, be present with where you are, understand the place you've come from, like appreciate the growth and the things that you've learned through there, you know? And maybe that is something that needs to happen going forward.
It is, Chris Williams talks about it all the time, like the desire for more while being content with what you have. And it's like navigating their balance. Bro, to those young fighters that want to share their story, start a business, create a personal brand, all those sorts of things, what's the first step that you'd tell them to do?
It's difficult for like one step because there's a whole array of things that kind of come into it. So it's like, if you want to be a great fighter, the thing that I'm doing obviously is helping people build their brand, build their social media, develop a personal brand, and then monetize it and however that is. But there still needs to be evidence that you are the person that you're saying you are, you know? So there's no point in building a personal brand on being a great fighter and then you're not, and you haven't put the time and the effort in to be the fighter, because then it's just like, it doesn't exist. So this is important, especially as we move forward, social media, brand building, all of these things, and developing income away from fighting so you don't get exploited through the fight game as much, you know? But you also still need to be an amazing, dedicated fighter, because one and the other, they don't exist apart. So you can be an amazing fighter, hate cameras, not doing it, and kind of like maybe get left to the side. Maybe you make it, but there's like 0.1% that maybe branch out into that. Or you can be an amazing social media person, but be a garbage fighter. And then it's like you won't be respected because real people know that what you're doing isn't what it's supposed to be, you know? Right. So balancing those two is super important. But again, I guess just the main thing is knowing that you have passion for those, because when things get hard, that's kind of, I don't think it's discipline and motivation that pulls you through it. I think it's like, it's something deep rooted, whether it's passion or And it can even be a desire to prove something wrong to other people, you know, but it has to be stronger than just, I have a coffee and then I go to the gym and listen to some music. Because I'm telling you, there's days where that is not going to do anything.
Wow.
There's days where you're just dragging yourself through spirit and you're just there in body,
Yeah,
you know, and follow the thing of passion, follow the thing that if you was never going to get paid, what would you still want to do every day? Because then you're going to be able to excel. And then it goes back to that Naval quote where it's like, you do the things that other people see as work, as play, and you're going to excel everyone, you know?
Speaking of drive and ambition and fuel, where do you think your fuel comes from now?
It's different now. Younger, it always kind of came from pain. And that was like this whole, and it is a great fuel. Like whether it's good or not, it's a good fuel. Pain of, you know, showing that you deserve to be in the rooms, on the stages, pain from coming away from things that have happened, you know, and you use these spots, it's an amazing fuel. I don't know if it's great for you, you know, but it's a fuel. Whereas now it's back to passion, you know? So I've kind of spent a lot of time here and realized I don't want to do this. I don't want to be this. And that kind of 2020 changed all that. Whereas like, I don't want to live in this state, in this frequency of just moving around like everything was just fighting. But not fighting because like I love the sport, fighting because like all I knew was to do was fight. Fight, you know, situations, fight this, fight that. And just my only pedal forward was to fight. Whereas I came away from that and I'm like, man, I'm exhausted with that. I don't want to live with hate in my heart anymore and like all these kind of things. So now it's like that switch, especially like I say, the sounds a bit extreme, but the bit where like you're scared to go to sleep because you don't know what's going to happen, it makes me realize that like there's more that I want, you know, and that then became chasing the things that I actually want, and then passion and stuff like that. I still have like bits now and then that itch, and I'm like, fucking show people, you know.
Yeah,
but then I'm
bro.
like, that's not why I want to do it now as much, you know. So now it's like passion. So it used to be pain, now it's passion. I would say.
What is your relationship with pain now, mentally and physically?
I say dismissive. It still gets us all, and it depends on what it is and how deep rooted it is. But I spent a lot of time kind of like with stoicism and different psychology and all these kind of things. And that the same thing is great, is a great tool. So things come and you can kind of dismiss it and you just keep moving on to it. And it is what it is mindset, which is great, but it also can be double-sided where you feel yourself become a little bit numb to everything and you need to redial it back a little bit because you can become just like, just don't care, man, whatever. And you keep going forward into these things, but then like you realize sometimes you want to give a shit about stuff, you know, like, so it's like a little dial back on those. Dismissing the things that I feel like don't require energy, you know, whether it's like, just, stupid things that would get you angry in the past and you're like, oh, I'll show that. And I'm just like, you live your life. As long as you're living life and you're not hurting anybody and you're like, you know, doing all these things, you do you. And that's kind of like my thing with everything now, you know.
That's so interesting because I even think about for myself, like, man, are you still trying to prove?
Yeah.
And do you feel like you got to be honest with yourself though, right? Because
Yeah.
I still feel like I am.
Yeah, 100%. And like, there's still that. And I still think that's good. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to want to prove this and that. Because again, the pain is an amazing fuel. Like you see people go through things, or you will see the biggest transformation in people after a hard time all the time. And it's like effortless. They could be in cycles for years and then something clicks, which is normally painful, and they just change into a different person. And that is not a negative thing, you know? And now with this, like, I enjoy competition and I enjoy proving people wrong. And I love, like, I'd always love being the underdog. So I remember I went to a boxing fight. It was like a short notice, semi-professional title or something, right? Against this guy who was, I don't know, 12-2 or something like that. And they brought us in as this kickboxer. And they thought we were there for a payday. And this coach was like, oh yeah, don't worry, you'll get your money at the end. And I'm like, get my money. I'm like, bro, I don't give it. about your money. I'm coming to take the boy's head. And at this point, I'm like 22. I'm like young. And I'm like, oh, I'm on one. You know, I am like in that fight mode week where I'm like, not a man alive can beat me, you know? And I remember like at this point, I was pretty brash. I was calling fighters out on social media, like, but it was also a stage that was necessary where it was like, I'm here, I'm doing the work. I want to like grab hold of things and let people know, you know? But this boxing match, I remember the coaches didn't enjoy this, you know? They put out this whole post and was like, we've got this kickboxer and then whatever. I remember coming through the changing rooms. I was like, as you walk through, they were warming up there. I stopped my walk out and would just stare at the boxer, stare at the coach. And they're like, walk, walk. And I'm like, I was like, honestly, jumped up and came into the ring, same thing, showboating, punching on this guy. And I was like, my version at the time of a flow state at that, you know, like cracking, moving, being a bit of a dick, staring at the coach and being like, if I was going to whoop my ass, bang, bang, and going like that, you know? That was like an underdog. We walked into his hometown. It was a leisure center, basically around the corner from him. Everybody was there for it, and I just love it. I love being in them situations when no one thinks you're supposed to win, no one thinks you're supposed to be there. And I think that is like, I love that. So I don't think proving people wrong is a bad thing. I would rather be an underdog in every situation. I would rather be, you know, David against Goliath every single day. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning. I'm like, yeah, let's go. So I do enjoy that, you know.
What do you think scares you now? What would you say is your biggest fear now?
I don't know. It used to be, I guess, not living to the potential. And then I think as you go on like a big journey, you kind of understand, like I say, not a lot of things matter apart from to yourself. But I guess it's still that. And a thing that I'm on at the moment is I'm itching to like compete, and I'm good outside of fighting. Like I enjoy business, but in 5-6 years time, I can't make the run that I can make now, you know? So I guess there's still a thing of potential. That's not my biggest fear, but a fear when it comes to competing is not being able to go and show what you can do. I spent so many years with this stomach condition that deteriorated the performances that I know I can put on in the gym. I know who I am in the gym, and I need to like go and put that into the lights, probably for myself.
Yeah, bro.
You know, I know that I've gone through camps that are just, you shouldn't even be in the gym, you know, and you're just pushing through things and you're still able to perform under the lights. So I'm like, I'm in a position now, touch wood, where I'm healthy, you know, and God willing that stays on and I'm able to go and perform and show that. So inside of competing, it's probably that. It's probably not being able to show the potential that I know I can do in the gym every day. I know who I am. I know how I can perform, and kind of like showing that, because nobody really cares about the training room, you know. It's, did you do it under the lights, and you know who you can compete against, and it's kind of that, you know. I guess in the competing sense of fear is not being able to show my potential, and that's why I'm like trying to put my foot on the gas now, you know.
Very relatable. Welcome to the Martin Show first ad break. For anyone who is wanting to go on a new journey, learn a new skill, we have started our basic beginners boxing fundamentals course. For anyone, if it's your first time, if you're a seasoned member, this is the course for you in the boxing space or fitness space. Click the link below or go to onlineboxingtraining.com and I'll see you guys there. Let's get some mahi, eh? Ben, we got some fire off questions for you, brother. What's the biggest lesson the fight game has taught you?
Cliche thing of just like, no matter how many knocks you can take, you can just keep moving, you know, and that's everything. No matter, like, resilience to everything.
One thing every fighter needs, but most don't train.
Their head, their brain, like psychology and mental resilience and being able to perform, and their brain. Everything gets trained. They run, they spar, they do this, but like your mental capacity, if you can't perform under the lights, doesn't matter what you did.
Crohn's disease in one word.
Pain in the ass. That was not one word, but
who do you know that I should know?
Jesus.
Yeah. What would you want to say if you could have a conversation with younger Ben? What's the one thing you'd want to tell him, bro?
Stay on your journey. Like, everything you're doing will be worth it in the end. Like, don't get disheartened. Just stay on your path and smile throughout it all, because it'll come.
Ben, my final question. If you had to erase everything, if everything was destroyed, the businesses, the content, everything you've shared, and you had 60 seconds left, what is the one final thought, the final message you'd want to leave with the world?
It's none of it none of it comes back to things like content and fighting, and it comes back to like connection with people, how you feel with people, how you make people feel. And nobody's perfect at it, but as long as you can keep making steps to change, to be better there. Like, I think a lot of our jobs like roots down into the floor. As one thing dies or one thing is like lacking, everything else gets affected. So I think like our job is to support and help everything grow. The world is bigger than just us, you know. Enjoy your journey, but like remember that the whole world needs to like, you know, be filled greatly through your own actions, you know. It's nothing to do with content and fighting and money and, you know, cars and stuff. It's like strip it all away. What do you want to do? You know, you want to experience good things with good people, good places, and help people, and that's like our natural thing, I think. Yeah.
Beautiful answer. I love it.
Yeah. Thanks for
Ben Woolliss, team.
Yeah,
Where can the people find you, man?
Ben Woolliss on Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff. Then we've got 365 Combat Academy, which is our online platform, one-to-one coaching for kickboxing, boxing, Muay Thai, and then in the next couple of weeks we start the business mentorships open properly. So fighters, athletes, they can come in and we can show them how to build brands, build social media, monetize things, and also create a system where they don't have to learn anything if they don't want to. They can come into a ready-made business and just kickstart.
Nah, brother, I love what you're about. I love what you do. It's a massive inspiration to another younger fella looking up. And I wish you all the best on the next journey. Entrepreneurial journey, but also like I hope you get a bout soon, man.
Yeah, same as, man.
That's my brother.
Yeah,
thank you, bro.
Oh man.
That concludes another episode of the Martin Show, team. We're going to be back next week. We're going to drop Ben's details below. We're also going to drop _ the Martin Show somewhere here. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to be back next week for another episode. Modi ora, kia ora. Thank you.